11.68%, and possibly the most important number right now as it relates to food stamps. It's all highlighted right here in this article, which I will be popping up on the screen for you in just a minute so you can see exactly what they're talking about, and this 11.68%, which is vitally important right now. Now here's the thing. We know that lawmakers are currently in the process right here, right now as we speak, of chopping up the food stamp program through this massive reconciliation bill that was passed through the House just a few days ago, right? I've talked about that before in other videos. However, in this article right here, they are talking about, and I totally agree with this as well, one of the major sticking points that they are discussing within the food stamp program is coming out of this 11.68% that lawmakers are having a total cow about. So this is one of the major issues. Now, if they can correct this issue, I would say, and according to what they're talking about here, the food stamp program probably wouldn't be as at much of a risk as it is right now. But it all revolves around this 11.68%. Now, I keep saying that. Let's pop up the article right here, right now, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about and you can read it for yourself. Okay, so you can scan through the article if you want, but I'll kind of talk through the details as we're, having it up here on the screen. Okay, so here's the thing. Remember, this whole reconciliation bill passed through the House a few days ago. It has a major cuts in it to the SNAP program. One of the major provisions there, okay, there's a bunch of them in there, to change the food stamp program, SNAP benefits, food stamps, EBT, whatever you want to call it. It's all referring to the same thing. But one of them in there is lawmakers are having a really hard time with these states out there that have improper payments. That's like their big thing, right? They're like stuck on this idea they've got improper payments or wrong or erroneous payments, right? So basically what they're saying is that states are basically they're blowing it. They're sending out too little, they're sending out too much, and they're sending out payments in error, right? Okay. Point being is that one of the provisions within this reconciliation bill to reform the food stamp program is putting some of the expense on the states. Right now, as we currently speak, the food stamp program is 100% funded by the federal government. The federal government gives states money, states take that money, and they administer it to the respective residents within their state who are eligible for the food stamp program, right? Funded by the federal government. So essentially what happens is, lawmakers are kind of looking at this thinking, hey, states don't care. Why would they really care, right? It's not their money. It's the federal government's money. Well, it's technically our money. It's the taxpayer money that the federal government is just handing out like candy on Halloween, right, to the states. And the states are just like, we don't care. If we blow it, if we send out error payments, we don't really care. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, that's kind of the attitude that they think between the states. But here's the problem. They're going to put these different basically liabilities on the states starting in 2028, where all states would be forced to pay at least 5% of SNAP expenditures. It's not that bad, 5%, right? Unless they have error rates, again, error payment rates of over 6%. Then it starts ratcheting up pretty quick. An error rate between 6 and 8% would put a 15% liability on the state. An error rate between 8 and 10% would put a 20% liability on the state. And error rates over 10% would put a 25% liability on the state. In other words, the higher that their error rate is for the state, the more that they have to pay out of their pocket. Now, here's how this translates into a cut to food stamps. States are broke. States have no money. Look at some of the states out there, right? There's a lot of states that have no money. They are terrible at managing money. If you think you're bad with money, if you think that you're broke and like you don't have any money, just look at the states. It'll make you feel better. States are totally broke. They have no clue what they're doing. They're just a bunch of airheads with money. States, okay? They have a clue what they're doing. But anyway, that's the problem. So that states are panicking, thinking, we don't have money to pay our own bills. We don't have a clue on what to do here. How are we going to manage to pay 5%, possibly 15, 20, 25% if we can't bring our error rates down? So now, with the states coming out, having this liability put on them from the federal government, where they need to pay a portion of the SNAP benefits out to the beneficiaries, now the states will be more vigilant of the payments going out and being a little bit more aware of, oh, hey, we need to really shore up these error rates. Okay, here's what it comes back to, and it's coming coming in full circle here. They see 11.68%. According to the USDA, okay, that's kind of who administers or who manages the SNAP program, right? According to the USDA, as you can see here in this article, in 2023, they had an error rate across the country of 11.68%. That's big. 11.68%. If that were the just across the country and every single state had an 11.68% error rate, they would all be locked in at the 25% liability on that respective state to basically fund for their beneficiaries within the respective state. That would result in a big cut to benefits because there's no way that states could cover 25% of the expenditures on the state's dime. They couldn't do it. States don't have any money, right? They're spending on all kinds of other little projects and things like that, and who knows where it goes half the time, right? But anyway, that's what this is all about. And lawmakers, as they're looking at it in the Senate, okay, so this big reconciliation bill, as we've talked about, it's currently in the Senate right now, okay? Not passed yet, but it's likely going to pass here in the next, well, who knows, month or so, give or take a little bit. 5.5, 6 weeks, whatever, just around there, 4 to 6 weeks. Let's just say that much. It's going to pass in the Senate. Now, one of the major sticking points that senators are looking at is this error rate. That's what lawmakers are having a big cow about, and why they want to reform the food stamp program is because they have basically jurisdiction over the program. As they roll out the new rules, states must comply. It's the federal government's money that they're giving to the states to administer this program, right? So the person who has the money, as in this case, the federal government has the money, giving it to the states, states must comply, right? So there you go. That's what that's all about. Anyway, so this is the issue. So if states were just to come in and just fix up their error payment rate, right? Bring it down from 11.68%, and they really started working on this, I do believe, not 100%, well, okay, I believe that they would come in and they would stop kind of putting the pressure on the food stamp program. I do think that lawmakers would still change this program to some degree, as in implementing the work requirements and raising the age range there. I think that's still going to happen no matter what. As far as lowering the age range on what is considered a dependent, that's probably going to still happen as well, which is still very weird to me. But all of this other issues of where we could potentially see cuts to food stamps because of putting the liability, the burden on the states for a percentage of the total expenditures, that's going to result in cuts to benefits because states don't have the money to send out. The only option would be is, well, sorry everybody, we're going to have to cut your benefit because we don't have the money. The federal government gave us 95, 85, 80, 75% of the total expenditures. We don't have the extra 5 to 25% to pay out. Therefore, sorry everyone, we're going to give you a cut. We're going to have to cut benefits, right? That's exactly what would happen here. And that's, lawmakers are aware of that as well. They know this. States know this. They all know it, right? That's kind of the game here and why they're doing that. But anyway, a lot of it is revolving. It seems to me, based on what I'm reading, if you just listen to the remarks out of the lawmakers, a lot of what is coming out of this is that lawmakers are really tired and sick and just frustrated with the error rates coming out of this program. So I think that's really what it's about. And a lot of this, now obviously it's not going to fix the whole thing, but we could avoid a potential cut to benefits if states were just to come forward and be a little bit more careful. That's it, just a little more careful. They don't have to be perfect, but just a little more careful, shore up their error payment rate. That's all it really comes down to. And then make sure that those payments are going out properly and going out in the right amounts, not too much, not too little, just the right amount. We all know that story, right? Just the right amount going out to the beneficiary, and then lawmakers could probably back off on that, and then we would avoid at least one cut there. Otherwise, we've got like a series of cuts here potentially coming to this program, and realistically, it's probably happening, a few of them for sure, but this would be one way to avoid at least some more of the cuts to all beneficiaries across the board from this. Does that kind of make sense? Anyway, just want to share this with you. A quick little update on this. It's still in the Senate right now, not passed, but remember, if lawmakers come forward and they make any amendments in the Senate, as in anything, if they amend this big legislation at all, whatsoever in the Senate, must go back to the House to be repassed. Okay, so the goal is to have this whole thing passed by the 4th of July. It's not that far away. Love the 4th of July, right? It's nice. Anyway, I just really like fireworks. But anyway, the goal is to have this thing passed by then, to the president's desk by then. But if the Senate adds any amendments, which they probably will, because I can't imagine it's going to pass in its own current state right now. But then the goal, or then what have to go is happen would be it goes back to the House of Representatives to be passed again. And then if they add any amendments, it would have to go back to the Senate again. Okay, so we've got some time here, but realistically, it's going to be passed here before we know it. And this is what we know as of now, revolving around food stamps. Okay. Anyway, I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can be. Also, if you are enrolled in Medicare, if you're one of the 70 million people enrolled in Medicare, please utilize that free service right there. It's a team of trusted advisors that are waiting on standby to help you with your Medicare, whether it's your Medicare supplement, Medigap plan, Part D plan, Medicare Advantage, or whether you're turning 65 or if you're retiring and your initial enrollment in a Medicare. They've got it all. They can help you right there. Write that phone number down. Take a picture. Take a screenshot. Whatever you got to do. They're helping seniors here in this community literally every single day. Thousands and thousands and thousands of you here in this community have already called them. It's incredible. I've seen the numbers. It's absolutely amazing how many of you here in this community have called them and received amazing help. The average person, by the way, is saving $1,100 from a simple 5, 10, 15, 20, maybe 30-minute phone call, depending on the situation. That's a pretty good return on your time, right? Obviously, that is not guaranteed, but that is the average savings across the board. That's incredible. Anyway, they have access to over 20,000 plans. They're looking through these plans to find the best plan at the best price with the best coverages and the best fit for you and your personal needs. So you can see the doctors and providers you want to see, the networks you want to be within, the offices, the clinics you want to visit, the prescription needs if you have any at all. They're looking through all that and finding you your best options for you personally, because we all need something different and we all need probably a different plan, right? That's the objective behind this. So anyway, they're helping a ton of people. And just by the way, think this. How good would it feel to have the right plan and the right coverages, the proper coverages, rather than just some random plan that probably doesn't even cover you properly? Anyway, very powerful to feel that way, to know that you have the right plan. Otherwise, write that down, take a picture, take a screenshot. And then again, super fast, your pro tip. Annual enrollment is coming in just a few months. I know it feels like, oh no, it's so far away. It's going to be here before we know it. It's only a handful of months out. It's not that far. Annual enrollment. 70 million seniors are going to be reviewing their plans. Please get to the front of the line. Call them now. Establish that communication now. Have them review your situation, find you plans, your options, things like that. Then when annual enrollment opens up, you'll be at the very front of the line. Please do not be at the back of the line of 70 million seniors trying to do this. You can get at the front of the line by calling them, establishing the communication now. You can get at the front of the line. That's a powerful position to be in. Anyway, otherwise, who do you know? Think of just a few people, 1, 2, or 3 people that you know, friends, family members, neighbors, acquaintances, siblings, coworkers, parents, neighbors down the street, neighbors down the hall. Please go ahead and share that with them as well so they can also take advantage of that and get some help with their Medicare as well. Otherwise, if you're new here, if you've not done so, please consider subscribing. 100% free. Big subscribe button down below. Share the video. Big share button down below as well. Otherwise, check out the 6,000 videos here on the channel in the video library, or popping up on your screen in just a second. You'll see some videos there. Check those out. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy your day. Take care. Have a good one, and I'll catch you again later in the next video.